Hello, everyone. Thank you for spending time with us, and welcome to Broncos Weekend. We are getting ready for the Broncos' first home game of the season. I'm Elisa Hernandez, the Denver Broncos team reporter, and I am lucky to have next to me former Bronco Orlando Franklin and Denver 7's Bradey King. Week 2 is here, guys. Are you hyped? Are you excited?
So excited to be at home. Like Bo Nix said, he's been looking forward to this day since the draft. I think it's just going to be such a good reset to be back at home, playing in front of the home crowd, especially coming from a super hostile environment like Seattle. So this was maybe going to be the return of Russ game. Seems like that's not going to happen, but regardless, I think it's still a very exciting week 2, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, just to echo, Bronco country, right? And at the end of the day, this is the best fan base in football, in my opinion. These fans show up, they love their football team, and I think that Bo is going to benefit a lot this week because you don't want to go to Seattle week 1 and have all the motions in and all the fancy stuff before the snap. So this week it's all about resetting, understanding that you're in your environment. You're going to be able to hear the snap count. Broncos country is going to be loud when the Steelers are on offense. And now just getting it done, getting a little bit better each and every week.
Yeah, there's a few guys that are going to make their home debut, including 4 rookies. Josh Reynolds had said that he's really excited to get his introduction to Broncos country. Brandon Jones as well. Pat Surtain said that he thinks that it is the perfect opportunity to set the tone. He said that's first home game of the season. Fans are going to be there, and we have home field advantage, and that's going to be able to set the tone for the season. Like you said, that reset that is needed. And Cortland Sutton said that it never gets old.
Yeah, nobody knows better than the players, right? If you guys feel it, that's what I think the fans want, right? So, like you said, Court said, there's no better place. It never gets old. The excitement is there. So I think week 2, they learned a lot in week 1. I'm hoping to watch the tape 2 or 3 times and just ready to rock this week.
Nix had his first career touchdown. He rushed for a touchdown. That was great to see. He did face a tough defense. Now he's facing another tough defense with the Steelers.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about last week, right? This is 2 very, very hard games to start the season off with. But, you hope he learns from it. You hope he takes away a little bit from each and every team. And listen, he's going to be fine. This is year 1 of the Bo Nix era. And I still believe that he's going to be the Broncos quarterback for the next decade and a half to 2 decades, which is a great thing because once you identify your starting quarterback, that's when your team really starts taking off because now once you enter college free agency, the draft, free agency in the NFL, what your team looks like. You understand the identity of your football team, and now you draft guys that fit your scheme moving forward. So this team is just going to continue to get better and better. Don't know what that looks like as far as wins goes this year, but at the same time, if you're a Broncos fan, you've got to feel very encouraged because the last 7 years after Super Bowl 50, those years are behind us. It's only going to get better from here.
Well, after practice on Wednesday, offensive tackle Mike McGlinchey talked about how the team is planning to improve the run game, and that starts with finding a way to slow down Steelers linebacker TJ Watt.
He keeps you guessing out there in the run game. You can't just recklessly run at him because he's so smooth and athletic that he can, bend around you and make those plays. And, he had a couple of great ones against Atlanta last week and certainly affected the game in that regard, other than just his pass rush, which is obviously, what he's known for across the league. But he's a complete football player. And certainly somebody that we're going to have to look out for this Sunday.
TJ Watt, we know, is a force on this team. A lot of the guys in the locker room were like, there's plenty of tape out there on him, so we know, and they know it's going to be a challenge, right?
Yeah, and it's a challenge on all phases. It's not just a Mike McGlinchey challenge. It's a Bo Nix challenge. It's a whole entire offense challenge, but it takes a village, and it takes everybody this Sunday.
I like that. He's one of the best defensive players in the league. That's no secret. He's big, he's fast, he's strong, he's smart. So like you said, it's going to take everybody because the Steelers defense is tough, and it starts with TJ Watt.
And just for a stat line, TJ Watt had 4 tackles, 1 sack, 3 QB hits, 2 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble in week 1 in Atlanta. So they're definitely going to have their work cut out for them to bring that down. And like you said, it does take a village. So how can the rest of the team help Nix, especially in the run game? We did hear that Audric Esime was placed on IR due to that ankle injury. He must miss at least 4 games. He's eligible to return week 6 versus the Chargers. So who needs to step up, guys?
Everybody. The run game is not just one individual. It is all 5 guys up front understanding what needs to be done, hitting their blocks, driving guys off the ball, creating creases. And running backs, when you see the crease, you got to hit it.
Hopefully, like he said, it takes everybody, and that part of the game really steps up this week because I think that's going to help him a lot.
Well, fun fact, Javonte Williams just needs 96 yards to reach 2,000 career rushing yards, so we'll see if he reaches that in week 2. Now, this week, I caught up with Broncos safety Brandon Jones, one of the new faces on the team. He made his debut in Seattle and is looking forward to seeing Broncos country on Sunday. Here with safety Brandon Jones, who made his debut against Seattle. 2 questions here. 1, how did you feel after that game, and what do you look to take from that performance into week 2?
Yeah, overall, new team, and also just not being able to go through preseason with my hamstring injury. So there were a lot of boxes I was looking to check throughout the game. Felt like myself for the most part, not having to been able to tackle people for a while. I was a little rusty in that aspect, but I think everything went well. I think we, as a whole, played really well. There's obviously some things that we can correct and learn from. Yeah, I'm just excited for this week.
When you're coming back from an injury, how do you mentally get yourself right to not worry about that?
It sounds kind of crazy, but you kind of just got to forget about it. So I didn't think about it all in the game and feel great.
We got to control what you can control. And one of the things that is sometimes out of control is momentum swings. And you guys kind of saw that a little bit in the game. How do you guys ensure and how do you guys prepare to make sure that you guys swing back quickly if you guys lose it?
Yeah, I think we just got to understand that, something like that, momentum and adversity, I've always said that it's bound to happen. It's going to happen. You cannot escape a game from any aspect and think adversity is not going to hit you. I'm glad we got a taste of it early. And I think we know, too, that we just came out a little flat. And all the stuff that happened from the defensive standpoint was, self-inflicted for the most part and stuff that we can correct, which is super, intriguing from that aspect. But, I think I'm glad it happened early, and we just got to realize that adversity is going to happen, throughout every single game, and just be able to bounce back a little quicker. How
do you guys ensure that you guys do not let the Steelers get into a rhythm early offensively?
I think we just got to play our game. We got to trust each other. First home game, so I know there's going to be a lot of juice in my first home game. But, I think we just got to come out swinging on all cylinders. And, once we get that, we can't get complacent. We just got to keep going. And everybody just come together. And if we have to pick up the offense or the offense has to pick up us, I think if we are able to do that, then sky's the limit.
We look forward to seeing it. Thank you for your time. We'll see you on Sunday.
Thank you.
It's kind of nice to see, these guys have been in the league for a little bit, be excited. They'll get those jitters again, right, for their first home game.
Yeah, it's like the first day of school, right? I mean, they obviously had their week 1 experience, hopefully got out all of those first game nerves. Now it's more just excitement, confidence, using what they learned from week 1 going into this matchup. And like Orlando said, nothing like Broncos country. So welcome, Brandon Jones.
Yeah, there's no way to simulate football unless you're playing football.
Sure.
Coaches, they constantly try to make these drills, and you try to make them as realistic as possible. But in a game of football, your body takes over, right? And a guy like Brandon Jones that misses the preseason, that has a little bit of injuries, you're a little bit banged up, I could see kind of he wants to get to that zen space, right? To be able to go out there and have an impact on a game and be a veteran and a cornerstone of this defense they brought him here to do.
Couldn't have said that any better. Well, when we return, Hall of Famers Steve Atwater and Orlando Franklin will break down Jonathan Cooper's game, and we'll also reveal the numbers to know ahead of week 2. We'll be right back.
Bank better with Broncos checking from Ent Credit Union, the official banking partner of the Denver Broncos.
First off, like you said, the Steelers are going to want to run that ball, so we definitely got to emphasize that. Like you said, just continuously to emphasize that all week, get better at that, practice hard at that, making sure we're focusing on the details when it comes to that, because, that's the name of the game, and that's the name of our defense right now, is stopping that run. And Justin Fields, he's a runner, you know what I'm saying? And he's really good with his legs. He wants to run that ball. He's fast. He's very efficient when he does. So that's even more emphasis on us this week. We played him before, so we know what it's like to tackle him. We know what it's like to get the ball away from him. We know what also he can do with his legs too. And if he gets going like he did in the first half last year, then he can also be a threat in the passing. So just making sure he's uncomfortable, making sure he doesn't have room or space to get active with his legs. Just condensing him and hitting him all game.
Welcome back to Broncos Weekend. The Broncos defense has preached all offseason the importance of starting fast. Linebacker Jonathan Cooper did just that. For more, let's check in with Hall of Famer Steve Atwater and former Bronco Orlando Franklin. Guys?
All right, Orlando, I'm really anxious to talk about this next guy, Jonathan Cooper. This guy has really outplayed his numbers, his seventh round draft pick status. What do you see on this first play? This is a nice sack he got last week against the Seattle Seahawks in the clutch play, a first down, and made a big play right here.
Yeah, it's the physicality. You know, that's what I really believe Jonathan Cooper has worked on with his career. On this play, I know at the end, you know, he ends up on his back, but when he first got into the league, he used to try to edge offensive tackles and just run on the outside of them. Now he's willing to trust his power, trust his ability, and really get into a person's body and bring the fight to him. So that's why we're seeing him have the success that we're seeing in the opening season game like we saw last week.
And I think this is what you're talking about right here on this play, where he actually rushes the guy, gets into the center of him, gets his hands on him, and the offensive player is in a bind at that point. We talked a little bit about that off camera, but you love it when guys try to go outside, but not so much when they try to get up into you. Why is that a problem for offensive linemen?
Yeah, because you have them dead to rights. You know, typically offensive tackles are big guys, right? So in football, the lowest man wins. As we just saw in that play, Jonathan Cooper is able to get up on the inside framework of that big offensive tackle. He's able to have now his hands, the offensive lineman's hands are on top of Jonathan Cooper. And in a position like that, that is a bad football position for offensive linemen. So when you look at things like this, these are the little things that he has done to develop his game, where he's now able to play in that phone booth, bring the physicality, also transition to a secondary pass rush move if the first one is shut down. So these are all the things that you see when you have a young player coming out of college. They only have a one-way mindset, right? This is what I'm going to do. But when you see a veteran guy in the NFL, what happens when that first move is shut down? Are you able to transition easily and now able to still have success while applying your assignment as well out there? And we're seeing that out of Jonathan Cooper. And that's why he's going to be one of the leading sack leaders for this team this year, because he's continuing to get better with his technique and also bringing that physicality.
Yeah, and it also seems like he's really improved in the run game, holding that edge. Now, what do you see for him going forward? How far can he go with his talents and abilities?
Well, as far as he wants to go, because when you put good things like this on tape, Steve, offensive coordinators now, they start coming in on Wednesday and they say, hey, number 0, that's a game wrecker.
Yeah.
We got to account for him every single time. So now look for teams to slide the protection to him. Look for them to try to chip with the running back or chip with the tight end. But Jonathan Cooper needs to elevate his playing ability. I know that's hard because we just saw him have 2 sacks in week 1, but that's the reality. He's going to have to come to work each and every day with that lunch pail and continue to get better, because now he's an example on this defense for these young players. And guys are going to be looking for him to make a play each and every week.
Yeah. Hey, well, you heard it here first. Great breakdown, Orlando. And Elisa, back over to you.
Thanks, guys. In week 2, the Broncos returned to Denver to host their first home game of the season, welcoming the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is the first time they will play in Denver since 2018. They've won the last 2 regular season matchups in the Mile High City and hold a 9-3-1 record in Denver and lead the overall record 15-10-1. We did a deep dive and we found the numbers you need to know. The Broncos are one of 7 teams to have more than 300-plus home wins since 1960 and own the NFL's home record sellout streak for a single city. The Broncos need a win to capture the team's 306th home victory in franchise history. The win will also tie head coach Sean Payton with former NFL head coach Mike Holmgren for the 19th most regular season wins amongst head coaches in league history. 2 of the Broncos wide receivers are looking to leave their mark in the history books. Wide receiver Josh Reynolds needs just 22 receiving yards to reach that 3,000 yards marker in 109 career games played. Reynolds stands at 2,978 receiving yards. Courtland Sutton needs just 49 receiving yards to tie Vance Johnson for the 3rd most by a Bronco in his first 83 career games. In the 2024 season opener, his 4 receptions helped him eclipse 300 career receptions, becoming the 5th fastest Bronco to reach 300 receptions. He surpassed 4,000 receiving yards in his 76th career game, becoming the first Bronco since Demaryius Thomas in 2014 to reach that mark. Outside linebacker Jonathan Cooper has the most sacks of any 7th-round draft pick since 2019. In week 1, Cooper posted his 3rd career game with at least 2 sacks. Cooper's 15 sacks are the most by any Broncos player selected in the 7th round or later. In 2023, Cooper and outside linebacker Nick Bonito led the Broncos in sacks. The dynamic duo became the first pair of Broncos players to record at least 8 sacks apiece since 2018. Cooper totaled a team-high 8.5 sacks, while Bonito had 8 quarterback takedowns in just his second NFL season. When we come back, Denver 7's Bradey King will have your fantasy focus to get your fantasy lineup just right, and we'll reveal which players versus the Steelers will call game. You're not going to want to miss this. We'll be right back.
Welcome back into Broncos Weekend. It is time for Fantasy Focus. Now, it's no secret the Broncos offense struggled in week 1. Just 231 yards of total offense. The run game was basically non-existent, just 99 yards, and 35 of those were from Bo Nix scrambling. But looking back at my Broncos fantasy pick from week 1, Courtland Sutton, he was the 3rd leading receiver with 4 receptions for 38 yards, earning him 7.8 fantasy points. Now remember, he'll continue to get targets, and I still believe he will be the team's top receiver. Now my fantasy focus for week 2 is Jaleel McLaughlin. The run game has to be better this week, and with Audric Estime on IR, it's next man up. Jaleel McLaughlin led the backfield with 10 carries, and he caught all 5 of his targets. He outtouched RB1 Javonte Williams 15-9 against the Seahawks. So even with minimal yardage, his usage as a pass catcher highlights his versatility and potential for increased production. So fantasy managers looking for running back depth, keep an eye on Jaleel McLaughlin as a flex option. Fun fact, McLaughlin left Youngstown State College as college football's all-time leading rusher with 8,166 yards and 79 touchdowns. Now in year 2 of the NFL, I'm excited to see what he can do. The Broncos also have depth at receiver, which is a good problem to have, and head coach Sean Payton spoke about getting Marvin Mims Jr. more involved.
It's part of the challenges when we have multiple receiver groups. Obviously, we anticipate him getting more than just 12. And, a lot of it depends on how much of the game we're playing in nickel or on offense, the 3 receiver sets or base sets. So that can vary, but I think you'll see his pitch count week to week, depending on the team we're playing, go up.
Well, a lot of guys in the locker room just kept preaching, like, coach has a good game plan. We're going to follow that game plan. And in Sean Payton, they trust. and I think with your fantasy focus, too, you're going to have some good running backs.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I like about this team is that they are young and nobody seems to be selfish. They just want whoever's got the ball, whoever's catching the ball, whoever's play that is to do well. And so I think that's kind of the point of all of this, is that when it's your time, you just got to be ready to step up. And the Broncos run game, they got to be better on 1st and 2nd downs to be able to help Bo and not put themselves in those 3rd and long situations. So I think if the run game can be better this week, they can figure out a way to get that going, which is easier said than done. Orlando, you can probably speak to that. How hard is it to really get the run game going? Because when we say it sounds like simple,
yeah, it's
like
easy.
run
Just
the
get it going, guys.
run the dang ball, but how hard is that?
Yeah, I mean, with the Steelers, I think that the tough task this week is, how exotic they are in the box, right? And, trying to get 8 guys in the box as much as possible to stop the run. They want to deteriorate a team from doing that. And that's going to be the game plan every single week this year for Bo Nix, right? Teams want to see, can he throw it? Can he identify the defense? Does he know where the ball should go versus the different coverages? And does he identify those coverages pre-snap? So when you look at just your guys' point with the run game, everybody has to be right. You have to be able to read your keys. You have to be able to hear the mic point from the center. Bo now has to basically give a green light to that and give a thumbs up saying, okay, that works. And it's about creating angles, right? Putting your team in the best position to succeed by creating great angles in the run game, where if you have a double team between Quinn Miners and Mike McGlinchey, that linebacker that they're going to is either stacked or a little bit, to the right of the 3 technique that they're blocking, where if that linebacker's way backside, you're giving that linebacker a 3-way go. So it's a bad angle for the offensive line to try to pick that guy up. So the more that they could get to the line of scrimmage as fast as possible, the more that you could put on Bo Nix's plate, where you have those check with me plays, and he understands that this is great, or I want to get into this. This is a thumbs up play from the sidelines, the more success you're going to have. But then you get the play action game from it, because when you're running the ball for 4 yards of carry, teams want to stop that because they don't want to sit in 3rd and 2 all day and the whole entire playbook goes up in a situation like that. So now they start taking chances. They start blitzing and things like that, where you're able to now have a run play but a pass play off of that looks exactly like that run play, where now you're just playing the game within the game. And that's how you find the success easy.
And I think, again, like that's going to open up this offense on all cylinders that hopefully gets Marvin Mims Jr.'s pitch count a little bit up. So we do have a fun segment here called Call Game. And each week, our amazing guests will pick a player that they think will play well against the upcoming matchup and call game. Week 2, we have the Steelers coming into Empower Field at Mile High. So quickly, Orlando, who do you got calling game?
This week I got Zach Allen calling game. Just watching the Steelers last week and watching, how Justin Fields was in there, you could clearly tell that Mike Tomlin has changed a lot about his game, where he's trying to force his quarterbacks to step up in the pocket. Jonathan Cooper had an amazing game. We talked about him earlier. We broke him down as well on the big board as film. But I think with this week matches up really well for Zach Allen when the quarterback does try to step up in the pocket, for Zach Allen to really get in that guy's face and create some tackle for losses, create some sacks, and really have a big impact on the game.
We love the safety dance that he does. That was my favorite thing from week 1. All right, Bradey, really fast. Who's your call game?
Bo Nix. Bo Nix bounce back game. He couldn't have started in a harder environment, honestly, and I think he got some of those things out of his system. He's not afraid to pass the ball. He passed it 42 times, only completed 62% of those, but I think he's going to make better decisions this week, and he didn't seem to have lacked any confidence after that game, which I loved. He said he didn't have any nerves going into that game, but I think it'll get better and better this week, or each week. So I am calling Bo Nix to have a big game at home for his first time in front of Broncos country.
All right, well, there you have it. And we will see on Sunday who calls game. For Denver 7's Bradey King, Hall of Famer Steve Atwater, former Bronco Orlando Franklin, I'm the Denver Broncos team reporter Elisa Hernandez, and this is Broncos Weekend. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you guys next week.